Let's get straight to the point. There's something inside you that's been gritting its teeth, struggling relentlessly, taking each step as if the world would crumble if you weren't there to hold it up. Do you recognize it? That pressure in your chest? That voice that never quiets down? That impulse to flee even when the destination is unclear? You might not voice it, but deep down, you acknowledge it. You're worn out from constantly trying, from persisting when you're out of energy, from battling against the current without even knowing if there's an endpoint. And what's truly disconcerting is that it seems like no one even notices. You continue to function, you continue to smile, you continue to perform, yet internally something is beginning to fracture. What if I told you all this pain stems from a single falsehood you've convinced yourself is true after repeated self-deception? This falsehood that claims you can only progress if you're in control, that life only happens if you struggle, that your worth is tied to rapid achievement. Here's the twist. This falsehood didn't originate from within you. It was instilled in you. From childhood, they drilled into you that falling behind was the consequence of not running, that you're undeserving if you don't compete, that you're inadequate if you don't constantly do more. And like everyone else, you believed it. You mastered rushing before you understood how to rest. You were taught to exert force before learning to let things flow. You adopted a belief in control before learning to trust. I'm about to share a truth rarely discussed in self-help circles or at motivational seminars filled with artificial enthusiasm. The harder you try to force life, the more you resist it. The more you attempt to manage everything, the further you stray from your true needs. What you consider progress often turns out to be merely a facade of activity, a pointless exertion seen by no one. You assume that relinquishing control would lead to disaster. But what if the opposite is true? What if relinquishing control is precisely what allows everything to align correctly? What if the control you think safeguards you is actually the prison preventing your breath? A harsh paradox pervades your existence. The more you search for tranquility, the more anxiety you generate. The more you strive for control, the more disorder you provoke. This stems from a place of fear. Fear of inadequacy, of not being enough, of failure. But this fear is rooted even deeper. You worry that if you stop striving, you'll be forsaken. That if you cease working, you'll be forgotten. That if you stop insisting, everything will halt. You've been conditioned to urgency, to rush, to fixation. Now, you're suffering the consequences. Let me be clear. Living by sheer force is quietly devastating. It's a gradual erosion unseen by others. But you feel it in every fiber of your being. And tragically, you're unsure what life without constant pushing even looks like. Have you ever tried it? Have you ever allowed yourself to cease the striving? Have you ever trusted that things could come to you without your forceful intervention? I'm not suggesting you give up. I'm proposing something far more difficult. Cease interfering. Cease dictating. Stop trying to impose your schedule on a universe that follows its own time. It might be painful to hear, but not everything depends on your actions. This isn't a criticism, it's a chance for emancipation. But here's the ironic part. You've lived so long under the belief that you're the driving force that stepping back feels like a betrayal, as if ceasing to control equates to irrelevance, as if inactivity equates to non-existence. Do you realize what you've done? You've equated your value with your productivity. You've placed your self-esteem in the hands of your accomplishments. Now you don't recognize who you are unless you're exerting force. This video isn't a call to surrender, it's a challenge. It's a crack in your rigid walls. A quiet suggestion amidst the chaos that perhaps, just perhaps, life doesn't need to be conquered. It simply requires you to step back. And I know your concern. What if you let go and nothing happens? But the real question is, what if you continue to push and everything shatters? Because eventually it will. Your body will protest, your mind will break down, your spirit will surrender. No one can perpetually live in conflict with themselves. So, before you continue racing as though pursued by the world, consider what you're evading with all this activity. What realities are you ignoring when you're too busy? What would unfold if today, just for today, you stopped pushing? Here lies the most unsettling truth. The universe isn't against you. It's simply waiting for you to stop obstructing the way. There's more, a facet often overlooked in discussions about relinquishing control. It's the dimension that lies hidden behind incessant effort, the fear of stillness, the dread of quietude, The discomfort that sets in when all motion ceases, and there's nothing left to pursue, resolve, or address. This is where many falter because their identities are built on urgency, on productivity, on the necessity to act to feel worthy. They taught you to keep moving as if you were fleeing something, but they never disclosed what. And I'll tell you now, you're not fleeing failure. You're running from yourself, from your inner thoughts, from that reflection that emerges in tranquility and compels you to confront who you truly are when you're not achieving, not pleasing, not performing. Just you, unmasked, without accolades to validate your existence, without achievements to flaunt as trophies. And here's the harshest realization. They conditioned you to link your value with your utility, as if your worth only exists when you produce, progress, or engage in something quantifiable. But here's the essential question that dismantles it all. What if the most valuable aspects of you are immeasurable? What if your essence, your reality, your strength manifest only during pauses? When you cease to force, a wholly different facet of human experience emerges, one not predicated on control but on presence, on simply existing. And for many, this is intolerable because existing without doing feels like exposing your soul. You see yourself, sense yourself, hear yourself, and there's no escape. That's why so many become addicted to activity, not out of ambition or passion, but out of avoidance, because constant motion prevents introspection, and what lies within is daunting. But here is where the concept of flow begins to resonate, because flowing isn't aimless drifting. It means aligning with a wisdom deeper than mere control, with an intelligence that doesn't require your guidance, with a wisdom that communicates not through clamor but through quiet. And this intelligence doesn't coerce, doesn't insist, doesn't rush. It simply waits for you to be prepared to listen. And how do you know you're starting to flow? By the diminishing fear of emptiness, by the capability to exist without needing to fill every moment with action, by the trust that even in inactivity, significant things are unfolding, that the process continues even if it's invisible to you, that life also favors you when you step aside. Yet we resist this notion. We struggle to accept that growth can also occur during stillness, because everything in our culture equates progress with activity. Consider bamboo. It develops underground for years before its first sprout appears. Years of quiet growth, and once it surfaces, it grows faster than any other plant. And you? How much have you grown unnoticed? How many internal battles have you fought unseen? How many layers have you shed without applause? That too is progress. That too is transformation. And it occurs without coercion. But naturally it lacks glamour. You can't showcase it. You can't tweet it. You can't add it to your CV. And that renders it invisible to a world obsessed with visible outcomes. But you know it. You sense it. Something within you has altered without anyone being aware. Something has transformed while you were quiet. And that's the potency of not forcing. The change becomes internal, profound, irreversible, because you're not evolving to prove something. You're evolving because you've realized you have nothing to prove. This is where the old paradigm shatters. It's no longer about conquest. It's about liberation. You're not seeking validation. You're seeking authenticity. You no longer need to run. You simply need to walk when the impulse arises from within. And here's a deeper insight. When you stop forcing, it's not just you who transforms. Those around you change too, because your energy shifts. You no longer emit tension. You radiate peace. You're no longer a live wire. You become a reflection of tranquility for others. And this impact, even if unseen, is profound, because we all yearn for someone to demonstrate that another way of living is possible, that not everything is a competition, that not everything demands pressure, that you don't have to be perpetually on edge to have value. And when you embody this, when you cease forcing and start trusting, you become tangible proof that a different existence is attainable. Do you grasp the significance of that? But beware, this path isn't easy. It demands courage, far more than it takes to force things, because real bravery involves waiting when every fiber of your being urges you to hurry. It means trusting when everything feels unstable. It means declaring, I don't know what's ahead, but I'm open to receiving it without coercion. And it's in that space of mindful surrender where the magic unfolds, where the pieces that didn't fit suddenly find their place, where opportunities that never materialized begin to emerge without your pursuit, because you're no longer acting from deficiency, but from openness.